issues of the Quran, controversial and technical issues of the Quran. And there are many. And today we are discussing whether or not the Quran was created or not created. And I mentioned a few groups and their inappropriate aqidah, incorrect belief structure of these groups, and they are prevalent in societies and their origins, places of origin, and they exist into the societies. So today, controversial and technical issues of the Holy Quran, and this is important for us to understand before we proceed into the discussion of the tafsir of the Holy Quran. Now, evidence of the Quran is not created. Allah Almighty mentions, and that slide there, studio, Allah Almighty mentions in the Holy Quran, it is clear, أَلَا لَهُ خَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ Allah, أَلَا لَهُ الْخَلْقُ وَالْأَمْرُ, meaning surely His is the creation and the commandment. He is the creation and the command, meaning Allah Almighty, He orders creation, and He describes creation as one thing and commandment as the other. So creation is one thing and commandment, His hukum, His order is another thing. So how can you say the Quran, which the Quran we have, it is full of hukum and commandments? Now Allah Almighty is saying, my commandment and my creation is two separate things. It's two separate things. It is two separate things. My khalq and my amr, my khalq and my amr is two separate things. Now, how can you believe that the creation and the commands of Allah to be created? This is where they go wrong. And the conjunction implies that the second thing mentioned is different from the different, and the Quran is part of a commandment because it is evidence from another ayat of the Holy Quran, which states in chapter 42 here, which states, and thus we have revealed to you an inspiration of our command. Allahu Akbar. It states, وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِّنْ أَمْرِنَا. Allahu Akbar. Min amrina. This is here, it mentions, we have revealed to you an inspiration of our command. So here the Quran is considered to be command. And the previous verse, back to the other slide before here, slide number 5, the previous verse here, Allah mentions His commandment. It's totally different from His creation. Allahu Akbar. Back to slide number 6. Thank you, studio. Thank you, Brother Siddiq. May Allah bless you and make easy for you. Slide number 6 here. Look here. And this verse is mentioned. And thus we have revealed to you an inspiration of our command. You did not know what is in the book or what is faith, but we have made it a light by which we guide whom we will of our servants, and indeed Muhammad, you guide to the straight path. Allahu Akbar. If the Quran is part of the command or commandment, which is different from the creation, therefore it is not created, because if it were created, the division of categories would not be correct, or the division of categories as mentioned here in the Holy Quran, as evident, it is evident from the Quran, would not be needed. So the rational evidence is that the Quran is the word of Allah, and words cannot exist in and of themselves, so that they would have a distinct and separate identity. If they did exist separately and distinct from Allah, then we would say that they are created. But words are an attribute of the speaker, and if they are an attribute of the speaker, then they are spoken by Allah, then they are not created, because the attributes of Allah are not created. I hope you understand that. I will go again. The rational evidence is that the Quran is the word of Allah, and words cannot exist in and of themselves. They cannot come into existence by themselves so that they would have a distinct and separate identity. No. If they did exist separately and distinct from Allah, then they would say that they are created. If they were distinct and separated, then we would say it's created. But words are an attribute, attribute, quality of a speaker. Well, like I'm speaking my words, this is an attribute. How I speak, what I speak, it's an attribute. It's a quality of a speaker. And if they are an attribute of the speaker, then they are spoken by Allah Almighty. Then they are not created. What is spoken by Allah Almighty cannot be created, because the words that Allah Almighty speaks cannot be created, because these are attributes of Allah, and the attributes of Allah are not created. Allahu Akbar. So this is just evidence about whether or not the Quran is considered to be created or not. And at this time, I will ask you to put the other slide while we're going to discuss the definition of tafsir and ta'wil. The definition of tafsir and ta'wil. And in this part of the program here, on the controversial and technical issues of the Quran, the ta'wil has three meanings, and we'll be discussing this inshallah. Three meanings. You see here, three different meanings. One, to understand a word in light of its connotations, to explain a word or phrase, and the actuality of an event. This is the ta'wil. Now, back to my studio. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for your lovely work and controls. Alhamdulillah. May Allah bless you, make it easy for you. The definition of tafsir and ta'wil. The word tafsir, and there's another slide I have there on tafsir and ta'wil. It is slide number, the other slide after this. The other slide, yes, look here. Look at this diagram. The tafsir and ta'wil. Here, the word tafsir comes from fasara, which means to explain. Fasara, which means to explain, to expound, or to elucidate, or to interpret. And the word tafsir is a verbal noun. That word tafsir is a verbal noun of fasara and means the explanation or interpretation of something. According to one other opinion, the word tafsir is a transposition from safara, which means to expose or to uncover, to expose or to uncover. Just as a woman who uncovers her face is called safira, and the act of uncovering her face is called sufra. Therefore, according to this definition, tafsir would mean uncovering the meanings and exposing the secrets of the Quran. However, the stronger opinion is the first one, even though both of these meanings are to be correct. The first opinion, which means to expose or to uncover, and you see here the knowledge which aims to make clear or the true meanings of the Quran and its injunctions and its occasions or its revelation. And all these tafsir, root word meaning and ta'wil. Another common word that is heard in this subject is the word ta'wil. Ta'wil. What then is the difference? Is there any difference between ta'wil and tafsir? Is there any difference between ta'wil and tafsir? The word ta'wil here means to return or to revert, which implies going back to the original meaning of the word to see what the meanings and connotations are. The word ta'wil has three meanings. The previous slide to this, slide number 8, the previous slide, tafsir and ta'wil, slide before this one. This is the coming, yes. Look here. Thank you there, studio. Look here, slide number 7. Here the word ta'wil has three distinct meanings. To understand a word in light of one of its connotations. Ta'wil, you need to understand a word by using a connotation, despite the fact that the connotation is not the primary intent of that word which is used. Secondly, to explain a word or a phrase. And thirdly, the actuality of an event. This is ta'wil. With these two definitions in mind, there are 5 main opinions as to the difference between tafsir and ta'wil. There are equivalent meanings. That was the opinion of Tabari. Some scholars say, Tabari says that the meanings are equivalent, they are equal, tafsir and ta'wil. However, the commentary of the Quran uses it as two terms and it is interchangeable. Sometimes tafsir is used by explaining a word and carries only one meaning, whereas ta'wil is used for choosing one of the connotations of a word and that possesses many connotations or many explanations of it. And this is what you have here, different examples. Now, we look at slide number 8 here, an example for us to understand what actually here is tafsir and ta'wil. There's a verse in question here in the Holy Quran. Look at this verse. Inna rabbaka la bil mirsad. Inna rabbaka la bil mirsad. Inna rabbaka la bil mirsad. Verily, your Lord is ever watchful. This here is tafsir. Tafsir is that Allah is aware. The tafsir of this, verily your Lord is ever watchful, is a translation. The tafsir of this will be, verily Allah is aware of all that man does. But the ta'wil that is derived, the explanation that is derived from this is that this verse is that the warning to man not to lapse into sins or to belittle the commandments of Allah because Allah is looking. This is the ta'wil we get from this. Understand? The tafsir is that Allah is aware of all that we as human beings, what we do, Allah Almighty is aware of it. But the ta'wil is that we should try, the lesson that is derived from this, we should, is to warn man not to lapse into sins or to belittle the commandments of Allah. And there is one more correct opinion amongst these opinions, since various authors use these two words in their meanings, tafsir and ta'wil. However, the most common understanding is a modern usage of the two words is the second one, which namely that tafsir is used to explain the meaning or intent of a verse which has only one connotation, whereas ta'wil is used when one of the possible connotations of a verse or word is chosen over others. So here we have the tafsir and ta'wil. Tafsir actually, what would it literally means? That tafsir is, the definition is that to make clear or to explain or to expound. And the ta'wil is used, actually we use connotation to understand the tafsir of the verses of the Holy Quran. This is just an example for us. Now, we'll take a break at this time, and when we take a break, we'll return with the different types of tafsir, the different types of the tafsir, inshallah.